Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 9. We're smiling, of Positively Board Gaming. I am Mitchell Whitfield, joined by the man behind Stonemeyer Games, the consummate professional, Jamey Stegmeyer. Do you wait for it now? Do you wait to hear what I'm going to say every week now?
I do, especially today since I was accidentally late due to a mistake. Mitchell has a lot of grace for forgiving my mistake there.
You know
Glad to
what's
see you, though, Mitchell.
you too, Jim. You know what's funny? I was introducing you that way either way. It wasn't because of that. It wasn't because of that. I had that ready to go, but it's funny that it happened to have an intersect. So here we are, Jamey, episode 9. We're about to hit double digits. Before we, and I realized, well, I'll tell you this in a second. Before anything else, we must have sweet treat of the day. Again, as we've discovered, if you've been listening to us or watching us on YouTube, it isn't always an actual consumable treat. It could be something emotional. It could be something just that brings you joy. But Jamey, take it anywhere you want. What's your sweet treat of the day?
So I have a pairing today, something that I'm
Oh,
excited about later today. In about an
uh-huh.
hour, I am headed out to uh, a, a book reading, a book signing, book reading with a few friends, and we're getting dinner beforehand. So I'm excited about this dinner with friends combined with the reading from author Frederick Bachman, who is known for the Beartown series and a movie
Okay.
with Tom Hanks a few years ago called A Man Called Otto. That's the
Okay.
name of the movie, A Man
Yep.
Called Otto. It's based on a book. Very prolific writer. I really like his works, and I'm excited to particularly to go there with a bunch of friends who are equally as excited about it, if not even more so than me. So
That is
it'll be a
awesome.
it'll be a good evening of signing and some good food at a little local salad place.
I love that.
Yeah,
You know what? I don't think people realize the hub that St. Louis is, especially if you live like me. No, I mean, I live in Los Angeles. I grew up in New
yeah.
York, and you would think those are two of like the largest cities in the world. And, it's easy like growing up in one of those cities, you're going, oh, middle America doesn't have cities like that. But you know what? There's some incredible cities spread out all throughout the country. And I love when you tell me of events that are going on, that you're not just
Mhm.
restaurants, but events, things that you do, places that you go to visit. I'm always blown away how many cool places there are. And again, we tend to be very myopic. We tend to know about the things that we can see right in front of us
Right.
and in our own area. That's why I encourage, and again, we take it off in a different direction. That's why I love that my kids love to travel. It's
Mhm.
such an important thing just because you realize that wherever you are, like I said, people tend to get very proprietary and myopic, like this is the center of the universe. You realize it is not. There are so many, even if you live New York, LA, Chicago, Tokyo, that is not the center of the world. It is a part
Right.
of the world where you can have wonderful experiences, but it's so important to know that you are a part of something bigger. And there are so many wonderful things, events, places. I mean, so I love when you share stuff about St. Louis. Now I want to come visit even more. You got the great, you got the great conventions, you have great baseball, even though this year the Mets are doing a little better, even though you did give us a little
Yeah.
spanking last week. But still, I like when you share St. Louis centric stuff because it's wonderful. It makes me realize how much more I need to get out. Anyway, there we go.
So is
Good.
your treat local as well, or is it
My
specific
treat is
to?
my
Yeah.
treat is boring and local. I'm
Okay.
going with food today, Jamie. I was so proud. Again, I feel like a simpleton whenever you bring up these great things, and I'm like, wah, it's chocolate, and I'm like what a loser I am, right? So I've been trying to be a little healthier.
Mhm.
Um, Less processed sugar, even though, I love sweet treats. We both do, which is one of the things we have in common, right?
Yeah.
I've been trying to be a little better, not get away from sugar, totally make it more natural sugar mixed in with a little process in the process. See what I did
Okay.
there? Um, so yeah, dual meaning. It's fantastic stuff we get here in Positively Board Gaming.
Yeah.
I So Tracy's been bringing a lot of fresh fruit into the house. I
Mm.
told you about our blueberries. We have little blueberries growing outside, which I love. Grab a handful in the morning. So strawberries are starting to come out right now, not from our house, but Tracy buys them and slices them up. So it's great. So if you're craving something, I don't always grab chocolate. I can go to the fridge, get some fresh strawberries, put a little whipped cream on there. So strawberries and cream or strawberries and whipped cream are my delightful treat of yesterday and today. If you could do it with that cake, how long did it take you to eat that? What was it called? The Great Wall of Cake?
The
It
great one
took
took me almost a week to eat.
I think you ate that every day for 2
Yeah.
years and it still didn't disappear, right?
Yeah.
So if you could do that with the cake, I could shame myself with some strawberries.
Totally. That sounds
Yeah,
delicious. Yeah.
fantastic. I think if you again, I don't always assume, and I try and like reset for people that could be new, and hopefully we're attracting new people to come listen and welcome if you're new to our podcast. So we have a format where Jamey and I will each have a subject to bring to the table. The other person does not know. We still haven't crossed over yet.
Yeah.
And that's become the format of the show, which I love. And that was Jamey's bringing that to the table. I love that idea. And yet I seem to start with every show with before we start. It almost seems like that's become part of the routine as well. We have a sweet treat of the day, the before we start, and then each of our things. So before we start, Jamey, and keeping it, I feel like, Tim Cook or Steve Jobs, one more thing, the new iPad. I need to ask you something. So we've talked in the past about the crossover, both in people that enjoy it and in design process between video games and board games.
Mhm.
What is so I know you're not a super big console person now, but was there a time where you did enjoy consoles a little more? And what was your console of choice back in the day when you were more of a video gamer, when you had more time?
I think so.
Yeah.
I've technically owned two consoles, but I
Okay.
really did not play the GameCube at all. I
Okay.
got it for some reason, didn't play it. But in college, I played a lot of Mario Kart 64.
Oh yeah.
Like every day we'd come home from class and do a Grand Prix, which took around, I don't know, 10 minutes. It was fast.
That's what's
And
great about it. Yeah.
yeah, I loved Mario Kart on N64. Yeah.
Okay. So here's my suggestion to you.
Okay.
I've been playing a lot of retro gaming consoles lately, and you can get them. There are a lot of different companies. The two that Retroid is a big manufacturer of them, and Ambernick, AYN, Iron, however you pronounce it. And they make these retro handheld consoles that fit in your pocket, anywhere from like a 4 to 7 inch screen, OLED display if you want that. And they're great retro consoles to have your full NES, Super NES, GameCube, PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, like thousands of games in one console. And
Wow.
I've been enjoying this so much. I'm going to send you a couple of links so you can look at it.
Okay.
It's such a great, refreshing thing to like revisit the games that you used to play. All the I Mario Kart was my jam also. All the Mario games in general, I love. Mario Golf, it didn't matter, love them all. But to be able to have them in your pocket in a modern retro console and a beautiful display, thousands of them whenever you want to play them, and because it's on a modern retro console, you can save them at any point, which feels a little bit like a cheat because you don't have to wait till you get to a certain level. You could save it at any time. Oh, I gotta go, finish that design. I have to do boom. It's saved wherever you are. Doesn't matter. Middle of a race doesn't matter. I think you'd get a kick out of it. I don't know why.
That's pretty cool.
I think you would enjoy it. Just the possibilities of like having any of those old school games, just to revisit them. It just brings back, and again, like we talked about, that emotional connection that we have to gaming or things that we love. It brings you right back to that place when you were in college, when you're with friends, when you're here. You can almost, there's a visceral response to it. So yeah,
you have a go-to game? Yeah.
Lately, I've been doing, I think it's Toadstool Golf for the GameCube. I've been playing that. I've just finished my third course. I've been killing it as Mario. I'm not going to lie. He's really been wiping up at the court, but it's really challenging. That's the whole thing. The courses are not super easy, even when you get used to them. And when you open up the new course, there's a desert course there that really upset me for a couple of holes until I finally figured out how to play them. So yeah, that has been my go-to lately. But I've been playing all the Mario Kart games, even the Zelda games. Wind Waker. There are so many beautiful, and they look beautiful with modern. I mean, it has like a modern look to it because the consoles are so powerful. I'm spitting and drooling, which is always good for podcasting.
You're really excited, yeah.
He's like covering his face. Gee, Mitchell, I know you're excited, but can you keep it up? Okay. So now that we've done our sweet treat of the day, we've done our before we start. Now let's start. Jamey, what is your subject that I have no idea what I'm going to be dealt right now? What is your subject of the day?
My topic of the day, the thing that I often talk, actually, before I even start, before you start, you mentioned people in the comments, and I wanted to thank people for chiming in with their favorite colors that they play games with. There were a lot of answers about that. I loved hearing the reasons for why people chose certain colors over. So I just wanted to thank people in the comments. We really do read the comments, and I enjoy them. And yeah, and
I wasn't the only violet, which made me feel really good. There's another violet that made me feel very good. So yeah.
Yeah. My topic of the day, I often talk about what I'm excited about. This is something I am appreciative of this. I just wanted to say that I am appreciative that my partner, Megan, also loves tabletop games. And I get a lot of joy and a lot of enjoyment from playing games with her. So I want to talk about that topic of that type of appreciation.
I like that
we play well. And so Megan joins, we host a game night every couple of weeks. And she joins that. And we often play games either together that night or we split up into different tables if we have a larger group of people there. But we also, it's really nice. I just find that I really, really appreciate that I live with someone who enjoys playing games with me. Not every type of game, but many types of games with me. And specifically this past weekend, it was Star Wars May the 4th. And so I pulled out Star Wars, the deck building game.
Yes, such a good game.
And so Megan and I got this to the table for the dozenth time. We've played this game many, many times. And so I wanted to talk about, there are two types of games that I love playing with Megan. One are either 2-player games or games that just play really well at 2 players. She crushed me at this game. She crushes me at every deck building game. She's very good at deck building games.
She's really good.
Yeah, you've seen her play on Board Game Arena. She's very good at games. But I also appreciate and love playing cooperative campaign games with her. Some non-cooperative too. We played My City together, really enjoyed that. But mostly we play cooperative campaign games together. And it's really nice to have someone in my home that I really care about who enjoys playing those types of games with me, because they are a lot easier to get to the table with someone where spontaneously we can sit down and say, oh, well, let's play this campaign game. So I wanted to talk about that. And I think I don't actually know much about your wife's gaming preferences, if you get to play games with her, if not, or if not your wife, if there's a single person, not a single person, but another person in your life who consistently plays games with you as your consistent gaming companion.
That is a great question. Okay, so my wife and I are very different. People always laugh. We laugh at the fact that, we've been together so many years. Like, God, how are we together? We're such different people, except for the fact, that we love each other and we make each other laugh, and all the things that are important are obviously there. But we have different likes, dislikes, and so when I dove headfirst back into board gaming a few years back, she was sort of like, "Oh, really? Okay." That really wasn't her thing. And then we started playing, and again, I think we talked about this in other episodes, what sort of welcoming games could you bring to the table to bring someone new in? So we started off with the thing that got me back into it, which is Love Letter. And Love Letter is kind of simple on the surface, but it lets you sort of learn about the people at the table. And, it's advantageous to know the people at the table a little better, so you can sort of get their tells and bluffs when they're trying to pull a certain card out, even all that stuff. So it started with that. Then it went to Quacks. It's so weird. It's just called Quacks now. It'll always be Quacks at Quedlinburg to me. And she really enjoyed it. She really liked it. I was like, ooh, to the point now where she's come to me, and this gives me warms my heart. She goes, we should really play something this weekend. I'm like, it's the same reaction as like, the kids are asleep. Let's go play a board game. Yes, honey, let's go to the table quickly. Feels so naughty. The kids are sleeping. Let's go play a board game. So that has been one of the great recent joys for me, that I now get to share this with her and my kids. I found games that my kids like too. And it's really, and just the fact that they're open to, again, they're, my son is 22 and my daughter, I guess, will be 20 later this year. Wow. Okay. So, they're at that age where it's not, they obviously make their own choices and they'll say, no, I'm not really interested, in a nice way, but they still like spending time with mom and dad, which is really nice. It feels really good. So when we have game night for family game, it's so much fun and it warms my heart. Cause my usual partners, I have, my brother Lee and his girlfriend, Nicole. We've been playing our online game together. And then I have my other group, Jack and Eric. We've been doing, Descent Legends of the Dark. So I have different online gaming groups. So we do different games, which is a lot of fun. And then I have my household now, which was never, I'm glad that it's become more of a thing. Everyone is sort of catching on. And I'm trying to not just up the difficulty, but introduce some new stuff now that they have the concept of modern board gaming. And I don't think it's as scary now, because again, when you're first starting, it's like, oh, what's all that stuff? And what are all those pieces? I mean, I can't keep track of all that. Too much math. There are a million reasons to go, I don't know. Yeah. But once you realize that it's more accessible than it looks, and if you ease someone in, I think sort of the desire to try new things sort of sparks naturally. And so I'm very grateful for both my wife and my family gaming group, for Nicole and Lee, and for Jack and Eric. So those are my online peeps, yo. Could I sound any more hip and cool? Those are my online peeps, yo. Jamey, don't you have the coolest online podcasting partner in the world, the hippest dude ever?
This is my face of wishing I knew how to edit these videos and these podcasts, but I don't. So,
wow, you're turning the same color as my strawberries with cream. This is fantastic. It's like, man, I wish Mitchell would stop that. It is so uncool. He is just not cool. But it's good if you're trying to be uncool, then it works. That is awesome. I like that very much. I like the
Thank
fact
you
that
for
you
sharing that
appreciate it. Yeah.
about your family too. I love hearing that.
And by the way, just so you
Yeah.
know, in most of my games with Jack and Eric, and or there are other people, Jack almost always wins. Most of my games with Lee and Nicole, almost always wins.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah, winning clearly is not my MO, because if it were that, I would have quit years ago.
Right.
But again, it's the joy. It's the joy. That's, again, the metric of a great game, something that you enjoy, win or lose. You're just enjoying the experience. So that really, it fits sort of
Yeah.
this conversation to a T.
Well, I love hearing that. And I do look forward to anyone else who wants to share in the comments about their gaming companion. If they have a gaming companion or companions in their life, I'd love to hear about that. And I'd also love to hear about your topic, Mitchell. Again, I have no idea what it is. I'm very excited to hear what it is.
You have no idea, Jamey. You've got no idea. And now that he's already cringing from my hip version,
Oh, no.
that's right, yo. Now that he's still upset by that, he's never going to let me forget this. Let's talk. Okay, we talk about, in the world of board gaming, we've heard people making purchases, not just because they love something, but because they don't want to miss out. And the expression is FOMO, right? Fear
Yeah.
of missing out. And that's a real thing. And I get that. And I think we've all had that to some degree, not necessarily with board games, but at some point of our lives. I remember being, in high school and, always, where's that party going to be? Where's this thing? You don't want to miss out. I think that was actually my metric for when I became a grown-up, which was just a few years ago. That my definition of being a grown-up is not, feeling like, not worrying about, not missing out anymore. Like you're happy with what you're doing and not so worried about what you're missing. At least that was like a turning point for me as I got older.
Yeah.
But there is another expression that's an offshoot of FOMO. It's an acronym that I've created. It's called Phonehe. Phonehe. That's right, Phonehe. I could see the wheels turning, and it's like, what could it be?
Yeah.
What is that for? Okay,
Fear of phone.
Phonehe.
Fear of not not having everything.
Yes, holy crap!
I got it. Okay.
Oh my God, you got it! I knew the acronym was a winner. I knew it. Jamey got it. It's fear of not having everything. That's exactly what it is, and it's an offshoot of FOMO because it's more specific. And the way that Jamey, I love you so much right now. You have no idea. Dude, I love you so much. I can't believe you got that. You really get me. You really get me. People as podcasts are being turned off all over the country right now. Like, oh, these guys are creepy. Okay. So it's an offshoot of fear of missing out because it's specific to, especially let's talk about it in relation to board gaming.
Yeah.
If you have, like I do, a collector aspect to your passion for gaming, where you like the art and you want to have a game because it's beautiful and you love the artwork and the designer put this much to it and you just love the way it looks before you even know what the game is. It's like, oh, I have to have that, right? And then once that game or your favorite game, let's say, comes out and there are expansions, it's like, well, this is my game. I have to have everything that relates to that game because it's the one I play a lot or the most, or one of my top 5 games. So I have to have everything. I don't have to have every expansion for every game, but this, everyone knows this is my jam. So I have to have at least everything for this. And it can be, make you quite obsessive, and it costs a lot of money because a lot of these games we're talking about, and I explain this to people that are not in the business or in the hobby. It's like, oh, so you like playing Monopoly or games? Like, no, I mean, nothing against Monopoly, but those aren't really the kind of games. Some of them are, more simple. Some of them are more, they're bigger and more complex and much more expensive, especially with crowdfunding games, right? So let's give you an example. Like one of my top, when I did your top 10 list, we did this like a couple of years ago. Yeah. And Dice Throne is still up there for me. It's still in my top 10. Love Dice Throne. Yeah. And I think it's incredibly accessible, easy to teach, a lot of subtlety, a lot of different ways to play, and even plays well like 5 or 6, which I've done, and it really works. Yeah. So I love the game. It's easy to want everything for Dice Throne. And up until this past year, I've had everything for Dice Throne. There's a cabinet. It's sick, Jamey. Don't you dare laugh at this because it's a sickness. So I have a cabinet that is just like my Dice Throne stuff. And if you're not familiar with Dice Throne, it takes up a lot of room. Because
a lot of characters. Yeah.
Oh, yes. So, yeah. Because you're playing these different characters and they all have, the gameplay is the same, but they all have different abilities. So they play slightly different. And the way they do them is they package each character in its own little box. And then they put the boxes in a larger box, and that comprises characters for that season. And then they have adventures for those characters that you can go on, which is different. But so this past year, I guess was I had the one that hasn't crowdfunded yet. That hasn't delivered yet. But there was an X-Men one that came with Marvel missions, and it came with new miniatures, and don't get me started, and everything. And it has beautiful dice. You know why this is one of my favorites.
Yeah.
And Jamie, I didn't get everything.
For
I
the X-Men,
decided I did
you
not
didn't get
get. I
everything.
didn't get the X-Men characters.
Uh-huh.
I got the miniatures, I got the acrylic tokens, and I got Deadpool,
Uh-huh.
which is its own thing. And I didn't get all the miniatures, for this season of, which is X-Men. And at first it was bothering me. It's like, well, but
Hmm.
again, it wasn't bothering me as a gamer. It was bothering me as a completionist. And that was the
Uh-huh.
problem. I had to be able to decipher. So I feel like, again, this show is such good therapy for me. And you're a good therapist, Jim. You sit there and nod your head and don't throw me out of the room. It was fear of, it was a fear of not having everything as a completionist. And that was a big distinction to make. Did I want it because, oh my gosh, I loved everything about every character? No, it's that I wanted to have it because I have everything else. And I feel like, I said that moment where you realize you're kind of a grown up. I feel like I'm growing up as a gamer a little bit. And if my
Uh-huh.
brother here would say he still buys too many games, but it felt pretty good. And it's nothing against Dice Throne X-Men, and I'm sure their characters are amazing.
Yeah.
But I have so much, and I enjoy what I have, and I still haven't played every character. I probably won't get through every character in the next couple of years. And I realized it's okay to not have everything. And again, it all depends on your reasoning. Do you have, are
Right.
there some games that you're like, this is my game, I want to have all the things for it? Or do you not get attached like that, or get that sense of, oh, the completionist in you comes out and you must have it all?
I am not a completionist. I can entirely empathize with that, and I appreciate it both as a publisher of
You've seen my bill at Stonemeyer, so yeah, let's be honest here. Go
right.
ahead. Yeah.
But also as a gamer, and it's always fun for me to see when a friend opens up one of their favorite games and where they have gone out of their way to have and organize everything. That is, I get a lot of joy from seeing someone else's joy when they have that. But I don't have that. I think we've talked about this a little bit, even with the first iteration of a game on Kickstarter. You can get the basic version or you can get the deluxe version. I
Right.
oftentimes get the basic version because I don't know if I like the game yet. I'm betting that I will like the game, but I don't really know. But I can definitely relate to it. And I have a few questions for you about
Yeah,
it.
of course.
Lightning round.
Yeah.
For does the amount of space it takes up matter? You mentioned that in Dice Throne, it takes up a fair amount of space for each character. If those characters were the size of a small deck of cards, would that have increased the odds of you getting more of it, or does space impact that?
I think space definitely impacted my decision. It
Uh-huh.
impacted my awareness.
You're right. Okay.
It was a visual awareness of like, wow, I really have a lot of this. And I haven't played this guy, that guy, this guy, or this woman, or this person. So yeah, I think the space comes into it, the price comes into it, but those two things are really, put in together because, the bigger games tend to also cost more money. They take up more
Right.
space. So yes, I think, I'm being honest here. I think, part of it is like, being good, but yeah, the space it takes up and the cost definitely are part of that decision process. Yes.
Okay.
So it's not all altruistic. There was a component.
Right.
Yeah, there was a component of awareness of like, yeah, can't take up all the garage. Tracy needs space here too, and the kids need space. So yeah, that was part of
Right.
it.
Okay, 2 of 3. You mentioned Love Letter earlier. Love Letter has
Yes.
a lot of little iterations of the same game.
Yeah.
Does that apply to your Phonehe? Phonehe? So with Love Letter or games like that where you never combine versions of Love Letter. They're always separate. But
Correct.
how many versions of Love Letter do you have?
Wow. As Mitchell is shamed by Jamie, episode 215. I have about 6 of them.
Mm.
And I think I'm still
lot.
actively looking for a couple.
Uh-huh.
And I don't feel okay. I don't feel bad about this one because, as you said, it's cards. It's like, what is it, like 16 or 18 cards?
Yeah.
I am still collecting Love Letter because I have them in their pouches, not in boxes. So they're all in their their faux, little sheer little bags that they're in, faux velvet bags. And yes, I have 6, and there are still more that I want to get because they are slightly different. The rules are pretty much the same, but there are variants to each game that are germane to that topic, whether it's The Hobbit or
Mhm.
Archer or Adventure Time, whatever that particular version is. The Batman one is a little
Mhm.
bit different, and they might have an extra card that's different. So for me, loving the game, I also love the subtle differences among them and want to share those with my friends who are used to playing Love Letter. Okay, this one's a little different. I just got the most recent one, the Cthulhu one that just came out,
Uh-huh.
which also plays differently because there's madness involved, which makes you flip a card and then it's a different, you can go insane before you have a chance to win or lose, which is really cool,
Yeah.
especially feeding into that whole, Cthulhu lore. So yeah, I definitely, I have not quit. And I don't feel like that's exactly
Yeah.
the same. Like you said, it's not exactly the same
Right.
because it's slightly different game. And well, I guess you could say that about Dice Throne. The characters are slightly different. It makes the game. Yeah, I think this is more the fact that it's smaller and cheaper. I
Mhm.
feel better about being a completionist with this. Maybe I'm not as evolved
Yeah.
as I said I was. I'm really learning. I'm not as good a person. Thank you so much for this. It really crushed me. No, go ahead. Was there a third one?
Last question. Yeah.
Here we go.
For video games, because I
Yes.
know you love video games, are you also a completionist? Because I think in the way that video games, it's often talked about, like, did you find every star in Mario Odyssey? That type of completionist. Did you check all the boxes, or do you try to check all the boxes in the games that you play?
No, because I feel like once I go down that road, it will never end and I will no longer enjoy the game.
Okay.
Um, I think the completionist part of me in terms of gaming is more for the board game collecting different games. There are some games where I've loved so much that I said, okay, I want to see if I can get everything every once in a while.
Uh-huh.
But especially like the new Zelda games, they are so intense and they're a lot of fun, but it's a lot. It's
Yeah.
a lot. I mean, I have a lot of or the amiibos, the little figures that go
Yeah.
with the game that let you, if you use those figures within the game, especially if they are figures that relate to Legend of Zelda, they will give you every day, once every 24 hours, they'll give you a boost. They'll give you an item, a weapon, a piece of food. So I was on this kick where I'm shaming myself again. I was on this kick trying to find like a bunch of different ingredients so I can cook a bunch of
Mhm.
different things and make a bunch of different like food boosting items. And I
Yeah.
got pretty obsessed with that. Where Tracy's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I have to wake up because now that it just changed, I have to go get that food." And I put that thing on and it was crazy, but it was fun. I had a good time doing it. But I feel like if I fed too much into that on the video game side, it would
Yeah.
be all consuming, and I wouldn't enjoy the game. Does that make sense?
That does make sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I've had it happen to me, but it isn't like my MO when I play must finish every bit of it. I'm happy. I'm also sometimes
Right.
juggling 4 or 5 video games at a time,
Uh-huh.
so I can't afford the time. Yeah, I'm not, as I say this out loud, I'm not painting the most attractive picture of myself. I still love me, don't get me wrong, but it's definitely not the most attractive picture of an obsessive man child who loves his board games and video games. But I can quit anytime I want, Jamie. I'm just not ready to quit. I'm sure I could quit whenever I want. I mean, just know that. You got to know that, right?
I love any nerd who embraces their hobby, nerd or geek, whatever we want to call it.
Oh, I'm both.
I love it. Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Um, that is really cool. Phone he is something I haven't heard before, but completionism I have thought about
Yeah.
quite a bit, and I appreciate you sharing that and thinking about that. And that's neat that you were very self aware with the Marvel Dice Throne X-Men one. There was a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles one, right? Was that one of the other Dice Throne? Maybe that was the Dice
No,
Throne Adventures.
no,
No,
that was
different.
that wasn't Dice Throne because, I mean, come
Yeah,
on. I was
I
Donatello. I'd have to get that. I
right.
mean,
I figured.
just
Yeah,
that's self-serving. I mean, I have to do that.
you're right.
But there are some other TMNT games, some really
Yeah.
good ones actually. You can't start me down this path because it's very dangerous. And there was a TMNT game that I bought, and
Uh-huh.
I was like, I actually had pitched it to my wife. I was like, honey, I had to have this. I mean, I was Donatello. It's like, and if that only works so much, like you can't have too many toys, or it's like, well, honey, I was
Yeah.
the voice of like, no, you can't do that. You can't do that. I tried to play it off. It didn't work too well. But did you see, was there another
I
TMNT
found
game
it.
that you were?
I was thinking of the game Unmatched.
Yes.
They had
That
it.
that
Yeah.
hasn't come out yet though, has it? Has the actual figures come out yet?
No, I think it was on Kickstarter, and I think it's on the boat right now. I think they're caught up in all the tariff stuff.
Of
But yeah,
course, of course.
they that was what I was thinking of. Yeah. Another
I will be
dueling
getting
style game.
that.
You
I
will
do have
okay,
Unmatched,
cool.
and I will be getting those because I have to. I mean,
Yes. Yeah.
it's TMNT, Jamie, come on.
Yeah.
This was good. And I really, as long as you're okay with it, um, I like having the before we start, because then it, you never
Yeah.
know what's going to lead us into our topics of the day. We're never, we never lack ideas for, things to jibber jabber with each other about. So I kind of, and I like that I'm bringing before we start too. It shouldn't, I don't almost feel like I'm dominating. Jamie's got to start, bringing more of the before we start. So I feel less guilty and shamed. Although I don't
I
think
had
that's,
one for today. I have one that can work for any of our conversations. I'll bring it up in a future one. Yeah.
okay. I actually had to, you know what? I'm starting to get a little nervous now, because first of all, now that you figured out what the hell phone he was, I don't trust you anymore. You're going to read my mind. You're like a savant here. So I'm starting to come to the table now before we start with almost like a backup subject. Should we overlap just in
Ah.
case? Just so
Uh-huh.
it'll be like, oh, that was mine. And then I'm silent for like 15 minutes of like podcasting silence. People love that, by the way. It's a huge, people love that. They can listen to silence forever. So yeah, sometimes I get worried that we're going to have, I can't believe you figured out what the hell phone he was. I cannot believe you did that.
I stumbled through it. I got it. Yeah.
You got, and I saw the wheels turning. It was almost like steam coming out. Jamie Stegmeyer using that mega brain, that intense brain. Oh, that is awesome. Well, thank you. Thank you for getting me as your partner and your friend. I appreciate it. And all of you listening, thank you for listening to us. And again, we're seeing some really nice growth. People are really, it's kind of catching on. And I like that people are enjoying it and sharing it with friends and family members. And again, if whether you're watching us on Jamie's YouTube channel, on the Stonemaier Games YouTube channel, or you're going to positivelyboardgaming.com and leaving comments, or listening to us there, or your podcasting platform of choice, we appreciate you listening. And you really do give us great ideas, stuff that we can build upon, and stuff that sometimes we never even think of. Stuff that we never even think of, and then we have a great topic to bring to each other. That's what I should ask you before we start. Hey, did you bring something from the comments? Because I did. Then I'll know if it's like a crossover or not.
Yeah.
That's a good.
I'm always happy to talk about the comments. We record this the day after our episode from a few weeks ago goes live. So we get to, the comments are pretty fresh in our minds. And I'm excited to see what people say today. I bet people will have some thoughts on their gaming companion and their Phonehe or completionism, depending on how you want to call it.
I hope
any form. Let's hear about that. Yeah.
I love that. It's like, we're going to make it like search engine. We're going to make the search engine explode with Phonehe. What is Phonehe? What is Phonehe? Well, listen to Positively Board Gaming and find out. Jamie, thank you so much.
Thank you, Mitchell.
Thank you for sharing everything that you did today. And I love hearing Jamie's point of view, and it makes it sort of exciting to share things with him, because I know we have a similar thought process in many ways, but I like getting Jamie's input because it either validates or, well, shames me in a positive way. And I appreciate it every week. Jamie, thank you so much, man. I'll see you next week.
Thanks, Mitchell. Take care.